Hey, this is Ryan. If you listen to the show, you might know that I'm a realtor in Fairbanks, Alaska. So we have this vast audience, but I only know of one of our listeners who lives in Fairbanks, Alaska. Hi, Ross. Did you know you can help me by letting me find you a realtor in your part of the country or world? I have access to networks of realtors, and many of them I know from past experience as a board president and state realtor board member. The best part is it won't cost you anything. After talking with you, I get a sense of what type of person would be a good fit for you. And when I match you together, I get paid a portion of the commission after you buy or sell a property. If you're looking to move or buying property and you'd like me to help you find a realtor that fits your needs, feel free to contact me through the site or call me directly at 907-978-2607. Thanks. Welcome to episode 93 of the Clive Barker Podcast. This was Gary Smart returning to tell us about the pre-order of Leviathan, the Story of Hellraiser, and Hellbound Hellraiser II. This was a really cool interview because we got to find out. We talked to him a year ago, and so we talked to him about the very beginning of the process. And now the movie's all done, and it's in its post-production and getting ready to ship out, and pre-orders are going to be happening really soon. So we got to talk to him about all that and the process, how it went along the way and everything. So that's pretty cool. And all that, and plus some news that Rob Ridenour and I talk about here at the beginning. So one quick thing that I want to throw in here before we get into that. The Rondo Hatton Awards. So if you don't know what those are, I hadn't heard of them before either. Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Awards. So it basically goes through everything about horror, and you vote. You go on their website and you vote, and the voting is kind of old-fashioned. Really, you just kind of copy all the ballots, the text, and put it into an email and write it to the address that they have on there, which is tarako@aol.com. So anyway, we really want Clive Barker stuff to win. So if you're a Clive Barker supporter, if you're especially a Nightbreed supporter, you want to go on there, and you'll see that the new Nightbreed re-release is nominated in a whole bunch of categories. I think like 5 categories. Go there and vote for Nightbreed, vote for Next Testament in the comic book category, and vote for Ann Bobby's movie, the movie that she was in called Hanover House. I personally contributed to the Indiegogo for that movie, and it's done from what I understand, and now they're trying to get it distributed. So I haven't actually seen that yet, but I voted for that because, Ann Bobby, she's been a great friend to the show. So get on there and vote for all of those things. The web address is rondoaward.com. 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 Go there and vote for Nightbreed and stuff. Especially if you're a member of Occupy Midian, show support for Nightbreed. It's kind of a critical time right now for the other regions besides North America. All right, so here we go, episode 93 with Gary Smart. Just for the listeners out there, we are adding this news on a little bit later than when we recorded the actual interview here with Gary Smart.
Yeah.
That was a couple of weeks ago that we did that interview, but we're adding the news now because the news is more current. So the downside of that, of course, is Jose can't join us because he's house hunting in Arizona right now.
Yeah, that's his wife got a new job, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
For them, I wish him the best.
Yeah,
and be careful driving down there too.
They're really excited about what their money can get them, for as far as rent wise. I think in Arizona versus Southern California where they are now, because.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, for the same price, they can get like a 3-bedroom house versus like a 1-bedroom apartment that they're in now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Actually, I think it still even saves them money. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So I guess do you want to go right into the news?
Yeah, sure. I'm just trying to.
Yeah.
Where start at.
Oh, so the first one is that there was another Nightbreed screening in Australia. So Steve Dillon, I think he's the first person to successfully negotiate something with the rights, the international rights holders for Nightbreed.
Yeah.
Because he organized a screening for the director's cut as soon as it came out, and now he's arranged for a second one, and it's on April 6th through 7th.
Yeah, that'll be Easter's. One of those days is Easter Sunday.
Yeah.
That'll be at the Black Lot Studios in South Bank, Victoria, Australia.
Yeah. So if you're listening to this and you're in Australia, you're probably already know about that. But just in case, contact Steve Dillon on Facebook. He's got like 100 accounts.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. And a bunch of our news is about Scarlet Gospels too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
like
so
giveaways and new covers and whatnot.
So there was a tagline for the UK edition. Now this is the UK edition that has the bloody pinhead on the cover, and that one has the tagline. What was it? The doors of hell are open.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or the gates of hell are open. Yeah.
So, the new. I don't think the U.S. one has a tagline to it, does it?
Not well. I don't think so. I mean, the advanced reader copy doesn't.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Looks like the UK got a little something special there on their cover.
Yeah. Dark Regions Press teased another Clive Barker project. So this one is kind of this is a pretty big deal because there's going to be they're going to publish something. So, previously they did the Midnight Meat Train edition, which was really cool.
Yeah.
There's a huge back catalog of unpublished stories, and even ones that are rare. Like Hermione and the Moon or Pigeon and Teresa. There's all kinds of stories that were put into compilation books that are out of print that could get published individually, or it would be really cool. I wonder, there was also the Black is the Devil's Rainbow project, which was originally, previously called Scarlet Gospels, just the, the collection of short stories. So something like that would be really awesome too. And
right now it's kind of, just up in the air. You don't know.
Yeah. We don't know what it's going to be.
I hope it's another, I'd like to see it be Rawhead Rex for some reason. I was thinking about it.
Wow. Actually, now that we're talking about that, I think that might be the only other Books of Blood short story that you could do that with. Well, maybe not. I mean, there's also Dread, maybe. They could put in the Dread screenplay and I don't know. I mean, Dread wasn't as good of a movie as Midnight Meat Train.
I've never seen that. Y'all recommended really not to, so I kind of stayed away.
Well, yeah. There are parts of it that I think are okay, but not my favorite. But yeah, Rawhead Rex, that would be really interesting. Yeah, it would be cool to see Clive's screenplay for that because he wrote that. To see what he had in mind originally, and I think that the Clive in interviews had attributed the bad movie to like bad directing and the monster costume.
Oh yeah, that was really the costume.
It didn't look anything like his design.
Nothing at all, and it looked. I mean, I really have no words to describe it. I mean, it just when you look at it, you just see a guy in a Halloween costume or something like that. It's like he's dressed up for Halloween.
I think the best design is the epic.
Oh yeah,
comic book one is awesome.
And it's stuck, just right to the story. And you get to see the scene where the kid gets, the son gets, his head ripped off. And, and Rawhead's eating his, was it his liver?
Yeah.
Under the moonlight. I mean, those parts, when I first read that when I was in high school, I was like, man, that's really disgusting.
Yeah.
Because I'd never, I read those in high school, and I'd never read a story before where a kid gets killed like that.
Yeah, no kidding.
It really kind of, it bothered me.
Well,
but in a good way, not in a bad way. It was just kind of like just horrific, and it made you realize, damn.
And it's a shame that people don't remake bad movies. It seems like they're mostly good movies that are getting remade, because it's like those are safer. But in a way, they're kind of not, because if a movie's really good, then maybe you just want to hang on to that, and you don't really want to go see Total Recall or RoboCop, or I don't know.
I agree with you. I mean, you're right. You bring up a great point. I think a lot of movies that were maybe not the greatest, but have these cult followings, because Rawhead Rex has a cult following.
It does
have a following.
Well, and the story is really good. So it would be, that movie could be done well, but probably movie studios would look at it and say, well, you want to remake this?
Yeah, but then they'd first probably be like, well, we can't have Rawhead Rex biting a kid's head off.
Well,
and take that.
They can imply it, though. I mean, they just have to pull the camera away. It's like in what was that Rodriguez and Tarantino movie?
What, From Dusk Till Dawn?
No, the one that was like a double feature.
Oh, Grindhouse.
Grindhouse.
The part where the kid shot himself in the head.
Yeah, right. They just
true,
they just pulled back. I think stuff. The MPAA doesn't allow you to show kids getting brutally murdered, but they don't have any problem with it. It seems like, as long as it's not right there on the screen. If it's implied, it seems like it's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. I don't want our listeners that I'm in favor of little kids getting murdered. On screen. I'm just saying, for the story, it was very impactful reading that.
Oh yeah. Well, and all they have to do is go back to the they did it, in the old Rawhead Rex movie. I mean, it's not they didn't do a great job, but they just they cut back to the father and the daughter, in the field or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they don't really. We know that kid gets killed, but they don't really show it that well.
The way it was directed was poorly directed again.
Yeah. Well, and the father was overacted.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched that movie in years.
But yeah, I don't know. So going back to this Dark Regions project, there's listeners, let us know what you think. What you'd like to see, because I think that would be. There's so many possibilities. I'm kind of hoping that it's a book of previously unpublished short stories, but I'm fine
with anything.
Yeah, me too.
Really I was impressed with the Dark Regions Press Midnight Meat Train, and whatever they put out, I will support.
Yeah. So Imagica is now available on audiobook.
It's just 40 hours.
Yeah, so that's still really huge. I've been listening to some audiobooks in the car because Jennifer, gives me books to read, on top of the stuff I'm reading for this podcast, and I just can't fit it in, so I buy the audiobooks on iTunes and listen to them while I'm driving, because I drive a lot.
Yeah.
But most of the ones I listen to will be 6 hours or 8 hours. One of them was 12.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one I've had so far. So 40 hours is huge. I wonder if it'd be easier or harder to follow as an audiobook.
I've never really tried audiobooks, to be honest with you. I've never tried it. I should try at least. Maybe I'll get the Scarlet Gospels one. I mean, I'm going to get the book too, but maybe I should get the Scarlet Gospels and listen to that too. And
you know what? The coolest Clive Barker audiobooks so far for me are the Hellbound Heart, because Clive Barker reads it.
Ah, cool.
And Mr. Begone, because Doug Bradley reads that one.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. It's those would be two good ones maybe to try.
Yeah, definitely.
Listen to those.
And I don't know this reader, but I'm sure it's pretty good. Oh, and then I guess our last piece of news, they revealed the back cover for the U.S. edition. But there's a back cover with a picture of Pinhead and some quotes like that famous one from Stephen King, and they're mostly older quotes, just what people have to different, famous authors have to say about Clive Barker.
Yeah, they're just reusing them.
So then this other one, I still don't quite understand this UK cover that's got a nail on it, and there's that promotional picture with barbed wire wrapped around it.
I asked Revelations, and they replied, and it's not for any kind of UK special edition.
So what is it then? Because we've already seen the UK edition, and it's
I really don't know.
Yeah, that bloody Pinhead on the cover.
I don't know. They didn't really go into it, other than saying it was like what do you call it?
In the UK, there is a hardcover and a trade edition coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's one of those two.
Yeah, maybe, but the paperback edition, does that? I mean, if you look at the image, if you have it up or anything, it looks like they have some barbed wire wrapped around the cover.
Yeah,
that's not. I mean, that's actually a separate part from the book, right? It doesn't look like a.
Yeah, the barbed wire. I think that might be just like a promotional thing.
Well, it's cool nonetheless. I mean, I like the cover.
Yeah.
I think it's very simple, and it's to the point about what Scarlet Gospels is.
Actually, that cover doesn't even have the title on it, right? It says, it's got a nail, and it says, "This summer, raise some hell."
Yeah, it doesn't.
And then, and the nail is just part of the picture. It's not like 3D like this barbed wire is.
The Scarlet Gospels, the title is only on the back cover.
Yeah, and probably along the spine, but I can't really tell. I don't know.
I asked them, is this the cover for the UK special edition? And they responded, sorry, Michael, there is no special edition for the UK. This is the proofs for Pan Macmillan hardback.
Yeah, so, but the Macmillan is the same. I mean, I thought Macmillan was already the white one with the bloody Pinhead on it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I guess maybe they're doing another cover getting another cover too.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think it's a cool cover, and so far, I think that for me, between that and the UK with the Pinhead and I think those are two of the best.
Yeah, pretty cool. All right. Well, so I guess with all that said, we'll go right into the interview.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, can you hear us okay?
Yeah, no problem. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Crystal clear.
For our listeners, this is Gary Smart, and we talked to you several months back about, actually, maybe it was a year ago.
Yeah, I think it was. It was just after we'd really got into full swing of production, so probably about a year ago. Yeah. So now here we are catching up because now the production is finished, right? Yep, finally.
Wonderful! Congratulations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so looking forward to it, and this will be a huge thing for Clive Barker fans and Hellraiser fans.
Yep, hoping so. I'm hoping it will be.
Yeah.
We've tried to make it as comprehensive as possible.
And for people out there listening, of course, we're talking about Leviathan, the Story of Hellraiser, and Hellbound Hellraiser 2, or Hellraiser 2 Hellbound.
Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Okay, I think I did it right the first time.
Yeah, the last time we had Gary on the podcast, it was in episode 66, March 9, 2014. I just checked it.
Oh, my Lord.
And then a few months after that, in July 15, your project was successfully funded on Kickstarter, which was a very exciting day.
So it has been a year then, my life.
And Gary, also we have Rob Ridenour here with us too. He's been doing a lot of our news posts and he's been on on a lot of our more recent episodes.
How are you doing, Gary? You doing okay?
Thank you. Yeah. It's about 9:30, 9:45 here.
Oh yes.
Yes, it's a long day.
Good to have you on this podcast.
So we're representing 4 different time zones right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's true. God.
The wonders of the internet.
Yeah.
Literally, I said about about 10 minutes ago, I've just been talking to our editor, so I've been discussing Leviathan even 10 minutes ago with one of my special features editors, so it's still fresh in my mind.
Oh, good. So you don't get tired of talking about it? You don't go, can't we just talk about something else?
I think in a couple of months' time, probably. Yeah. Once it's out there and done, I think I need just for a little while.
Yeah.
On Hellraiser.
Yeah.
So just so our listeners know, you're one of the producers and a co-writer of the documentary.
Yep. I'm the producer and co-writer. Of Leviathan Extras.
Exactly. And the film editing is being done by Anthony Isles and Archer Reynolds. So I guess that's all done.
Yeah, the main feature is all done completely. We just had last week our final track for the soundtrack by Lito, who did the music for More Brains, and that came through. So that sounds fantastic. Very much of a homage to Christopher Young, and Christopher Young has listened to the tracks, and I know that him and Lito have been communicating about the music for Leviathan. And then we've got Chris Griffiths, who is our special features editor, and he's been busy because we've got quite a few special features as well.
Oh, yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah, we saw the list of things to come. And Kevin McDonough was the director, right? Yeah,
Kevin McDonough is our director, a fantastic guy. He has done some kind of independent, low-budget horror films in the UK, and he's actually working on a new film now called Enter the Cage, which is about... I forgot. It's about fighting. Yeah, it's a violent film, so he'll enjoy doing that.
About like UFC fighting and stuff like that, or?
I think that's what it is. Yeah, it's I think it's kind of like The Running Man, but with fighting instead. So he's busy finalising Leviathan, and also obviously just starting his project there. And Chris and myself and Adam, who's our line producer, are working on something else at the moment. So it's all kind of. Leviathan's coming to an end, and we've got other projects starting, but we just want to make sure we get Leviathan perfect before it's obviously finished.
So this editing process must have been really daunting. Was there a point at during the editing where you just had to decide, okay, we're going to split this into 2 movies?
Yeah, I mean, we always planned for it to be a 3-hour documentary. Mm-hmm. That was always kind of the main kind of plan from the start. And then, basically, when we got all the footage together, we had about 90 hours of footage. Oh. Now, on a documentary like this, you're going to have a lot of footage because you're going to have many people answering the same questions. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously how you fit that together and make sure it's a nice narrative. So we knew, obviously, a lot of people would be cut, and all certain sections of what people have been saying will be cut, which is a horrible thing to do anyway. But we had a first draft come through at about 9 hours, which obviously is too long. Yes. So we went through it again, and then we literally got down to just over 6 hours, and I couldn't bring myself to get any more cut from it, to be honest, because the narrative works so well, and obviously what we're covering right from the Dog Company days right to the legacy of Hellraiser, you don't really want to cut too much out of that, more than we already have. So it was decided it was going to be 6 hours. Perfect. And then it was, let's just split it into 2 because it's going to be a big sit-in for somebody, 6 hours. So let's have Hellraiser 1 on its own on one disc and Hellbound on another disc. I think that works quite well. I mean, it's still in the package of Leviathan, Story of Hellraiser 1 and 2, but it's obviously got its own separate discs, and I think that'll work quite nicely.
So, does the narrative flow like where somebody's telling a story and then you get someone else's perspective on that story, or it's like, okay, no, this is all of our time with Claire Higgins, and now is our time with Ashley Lawrence, or how is that put together?
It's literally, as you first said, it's what we don't want to do, and in some sense, when you watch a documentary and you get one person talking, it's really interesting, but you don't want one person getting 5 minutes screen time talking about, the makeup effects, because in a production like Hellraiser, like any production, loads of people have an opinion on it, and obviously loads of people are involved. Mm-hmm. So it'll be someone like Jeff Porter, for argument's sake, he'll start the narrative about doing the makeup on Doug. We'll bring Doug into it then, and then we'll bring someone like Mark Coulier or Little John, who the makeup as well. Come back to Jeff back to Doug, and then reactions that make up from the other cast and crew. So it's very much, it's quite a nice beat to it where really, I'd say probably the maximum time somebody is talking is about probably 2 minutes at a time. As one individual. So, and I said we've interviewed 40-odd people as well, so, to be respectful to those people is to get their views in as well. So I'm hoping that people will be engaged by it because it's quite fast-paced and different people's opinions, and it's flowing quite nice. And that works well on some topics where you get some kind of discrepancies, if you want to call it that, in recollections and memories of what happened. So that's quite, it's quite quirky then, that one person saying one thing and someone else is completely must be in a different world because they don't remember that happening or they've got a different opinion on it. So that works quite nice as well.
Yeah, that was another... go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, I was looking at your Kickstarter updates where you were saying that it looks likely that it will be a 2-disc, 6-hour documentary with 3 hours on Hellraiser and 3 hours on Hellraiser 2, plus hours of bonus footage. And I've been adding up the bonus footage duration times, and it's over 3 hours long.
Yeah, I got the final time for Hellraiser 3. We've got a little feature called Hell on Earth, the Story of Hellraiser 3, and that's about 30 minutes as well.
Perfect.
So
cool.
So
I like that.
So it runs to about 3.5 hours just in bonuses.
Wow.
As well as 3 hours for each one. So you're talking 9.5 hours, which is a lot. And you know what? There's probably about another 4 hours of footage that we could have used, but we can't fit on the discs. So
sure.
It's
you have to reach the final form of the documentary at some point, so it's completely understandable.
Yeah. I mean, I said it's heartbreaking to a degree when you have to watch that first draft, which was 9 hours, and you have to start thinking, just take Simon out there, or just, do we need to listen? Do we need Barbie on that bit? That's heartbreaking because we've got to really know these people now, and having to cut people.
Sure.
I can imagine, like in a proper film production, it's heartbreaking. But you've got to think about the narrative and the fact that Jeff Porter's on doing the makeup of Ken Cranham. Ken and Jeff are very important to that narrative. Is the clapper guy or the boom mic person, their opinion as important for that part of the narrative or not? They've got their section coming up when we talk about sound and we talk about the difficulties on set. So you've got to be kind of a bit ruthless as well. But it's one of those things, unfortunately.
Last time you talked to us on the podcast, you were telling us about how much you were trying to find a way to talk to Bob Keane and how he was living in a ranch in the United States. So it looks like you got him. Yeah,
we did. One of those weird kind of situations that we were trying for ages and ages to get Bob and having no luck whatsoever. And then we got a phone call off Jeff Portas, who's based in the UK, and he said, "You never guess who I saw today?" "No, who?" "Bob Keane." "Oh, okay." And Bob was at a convention kind of makeup effects kind of show in the UK, and he was only here for a limited time, in literally for about 2 or 3 days. So he had spoke to Bob about the documentary, and Bob said he was quite keen to be involved. So then we obviously got Bob's direct contact number, spoke to him. Unfortunately, he couldn't give us any time in the UK because it was literally a flying visit. And he was gracious enough. Obviously, we then arranged for an interview in North Carolina with him then, and we got Bob. And Bob he's got some fantastic stories. I mean, Bob, he's one of those unsung heroes as well with regards to Hellraiser. I mean, obviously, Clive is important to the mythology and creating the story. But I think I might have mentioned before, there's people who don't really get the credit they deserve on Hellraiser, like Bob, like Jeff Portas, like Chris Figg. If it wasn't for those people, Hellraiser wouldn't be what it was today. So getting Bob was just fantastic for us.
Sure, and Nightbreed as well, because Clive Barker developed some characters for Nightbreed while he was still finishing off the book. He was already thinking about the movie, so he was already throwing ideas with Bob Keane and Jeff Portas on how some characters would look like. And Mark Coulier recently won an Oscar.
He did, yeah.
For the Grand Budapest Hotel, which was very exciting to see.
When we interviewed Mark, he already had the Oscar for The Iron Lady, and was one of those things. When we interviewed him in Birmingham, where we're from, and he came down, and we said, just jokingly, we wish you would have asked you to bring your Oscar with you. And he said, you should have just emailed me and asked me. I would have bought it. And I'm thinking, oh, bloody hell, we could have had a look, had a mess around about and a hold of it. So maybe next time when we see him, we'll get him to bring him with him.
That's wonderful. Can we mention here the special features? I'm going to mention the special feature breakdown.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
You listed, there'll be Clive Barker, writer, director, and imaginer. Chenard, The Mind is a Labyrinth. The Toy Maker, Inside the Lament Configuration with Simon Sacy, which I'm really looking forward to. Hooks, Chains, and Cenobites, The Story of Image Animation. Cenobites, In Conversation with Butterball and Chatterer. The Hellraiser films and their legacy with Paul Kane, which I recently bought that book. Hellraiser, The Unreleased Themes of Coil with Stephen Thrower, another amazing segment you guys managed to pull together. And the Hellraiser Legacy with Gary J. Tunnicliffe. And then finally the one you mentioned, Hell on Earth, The Story of Hellraiser III, which at the time it was to be announced, the runtime, but now we know that it's going to be 30 minutes.
Yeah, 30 minutes, yeah.
Is there anything in the distant horizon for Hellraiser 3? I know this is too premature to ask, but I'm just wondering.
I'd never say never, to be honest. I mean, when we went to the States, we met Ken Carpenter, who plays Camerahead, and we interviewed Ken, and Ken's actually interviewed in that segment for the Hellraiser bit, Hellraiser 3 section. Hellraiser 3 has got its own nice story about how it happened. We cover that in the main doc, and we also cover it in the features. So I think there's probably scope there for Hellraiser 3, but I think I'd probably do it on Hellraiser 3 and Hellraiser 4 if I was doing it again, because I think those two films, again, you've got Peter Atkins very much involved, obviously writing both of those films, and then we know about Part 4, the issues that Part 4 had regards to the director and the work print. So I think that would be kind of probably a bit full circle for us, really, if we did decide to branch out into Hellraiser again. I would definitely do 3 and 4. I wouldn't do the rest. I know there's people who like the rest.
I understand.
But
I understand too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not negative about the rest of the films. My philosophy on 5 onwards is that despite the fact that we know what those films are made for and the politics behind them, at least somebody was making Hellraiser films and keeping it alive. I know it was about making money, but there's other franchises which are completely dead now and don't get the respect they deserve. So it's one of those things. It's like I'm a big fan of Return of the Living Dead, and parts 4 and 5 were absolutely terrible. But at least
Rave
somebody tried. Yeah, and what was the other one now? Rave to the Grave. I read book on this, I should know. Rave to the Grave and it's out of rubbish. I can't even remember what it was called. But at least somebody tried. Yeah. At least somebody tried. But I wouldn't venture into 5 onwards. I don't think I could go through that.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Going back to the original Hellraiser, and talking about who you were able to get, I know Grace Kirby is somebody that we never hear anything from. Any luck with? I was curious about that.
No, we actually got her contact details in the end, but Grace, we kind of got the vibe from the cast and crew we interviewed about Grace. Grace has kind of really moved on. I think when she did Hellraiser, I mean, a lot of people know this anyway, she didn't really know what she was getting into. She was Clive Barker's cousin. Yeah. She did Hellraiser for him as a favour, really, because obviously it was his first film, and then quickly realised when she saw the finished product of what it actually was, not probably even reading the script before she embarked on being a Cenobite. She, from what we gather, she has got very strong religious beliefs regards to Catholicism. So, Hellraiser and Catholicism don't really go well together in the sense that obviously what they represent. So, and I know she is currently working as a teacher in a Catholic school in England. So I think there's obviously politics around that as well, and with her students and obviously her employers more than likely. I do know that people did try to get her to do a convention about 5 or 6 years ago, and she was really up for it. It took a lot of convincing, and then she changed her mind at the last minute. So I really think she will be the holy kind of grail, really, regards to Hellraiser. And again, we know it's like other people aren't involved in Leviathan for various reasons. We talk about those people, and we're respectful about those people as well. So there's a nice little segment on Grace.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully she ever watched this, if she ever did, she'll know that people did appreciate the work she did, and
Absolutely.
she's got a nice following, and people that are respectful of why she wasn't a part of Hellraiser 2. But then again, if she was, you would never have got Barbie. Barbie's a character in herself. So these things happen for a reason.
And not everybody realizes that they're different actors. I mean, I've seen at conventions where people bring copies of Hellraiser up to Barbie to sign.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably because the screen of the Cenobites in part 1 is so short. People probably don't realise too much, but actually there's quite a big difference between the character designs. I mean Barbie's a completely different shape to Grace. The metal kind of wiring around coming out of her face is a different configuration, and also obviously the first one, Grace, had a kind of cancer kind of hair, didn't she? The strands of white hair coming out of her head, whereas Barbie doesn't have that. So they didn't try to do an exact replica of Grace's Cenobite, but obviously we know it's meant to be the same one, so it's interesting.
Yeah, it's also very interesting that you managed to get Imogen Borman, Tiffany, for
she was
interviewed. Yeah.
Oh, nice! I didn't know that.
That was some detective work. I was like Columbo on that one.
Well, her Facebook page doesn't really seem to be monitored by her.
No, he actually he's heard of Facebook pages, but she just doesn't go on. She literally, I found her. I actually went through public council records for the UK and found her because she'd put some planning permission for an extension on her house. And that literally is how I found. I did some background research, a bit stalkery, a little bit, and then I got hold of her and then sent her a letter. And then it literally was about 4 months after I got a phone call out of the blue, and the phone rang. It was about 2 days before we were going to the States, actually it was, and the phone rang, and hello, who's this? Imogen. I was thinking, who's Imogen? I don't know who that is. And then I thought, wait. And then it was her on the phone, and she was already up for it. And we travelled down to Scotland to go and see her. And we decided to drive. That took 12 hours to get to Scotland from where I am in the UK. So no, she was fantastic, absolutely brilliant, and very nervous about doing it because she hasn't done anything like this for a long time. But once she got comfortable and obviously got talking, she was going on for ages then. So I'm really glad we got Imogen, and she's such a nice person as well.
Wonderful. I remember Googling her a few years ago, and all I could find were a couple of tabloid articles about her. And
I think it's one of those typical child actor kind of thrown into the deep end, and obviously what comes with that is either fame and money, or it's drink and drugs, isn't it? And obviously, she doesn't hide the fact that obviously the difficulty she's been in. Very open, very honest. I mean, you can Google it yourself and see obviously the difficulties that she's had, and she's a completely different person now. And when we met her, she's completely changed her life around. She's living in a really nice part of Scotland, very much in the Highlands of Scotland. So she's out in the middle of nowhere with her 2 daughters and a Shetland pony and a dog. So she's and she was so great. We stayed with her. We travelled 12 hours and we stayed with her for the evening, and then part of the Sunday day as well. And she was such a great host, and she's like a little girl. It's really weird. She looks exactly the same as she did in Hellraiser, in Hellbound. She's so kind of. I can't say anything more nice about Imogen, as a nice person that she is. And we're going to have a launch party next month in the UK for Leviathan, and I'm hoping Imogen's going to come down for that as well.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So you guys traveled from London to Northampton to LA to Scotland, North Carolina, New York. You got to visit Clive Barker's house too, right?
Yeah. We obviously, long story on the Clive Barker. I think when last time I spoke to you, we didn't have Clive, and we was obviously trying to get hold of Clive, and then we actually got him for about 4 days. We got him for, and Obviously, everyone, people are aware, obviously, of Clive and his work commitments at the moment with Scarlet Gospels and also the Hellraiser remake. And I know he had a bit of a health scare as well back when we were actually negotiating with him and talking to his people. Mm-hmm. But basically, we had Clive on board through his partner Johnny, who's a fantastic guy, Johnny Raymond, mm-hmm. And we were linking it with Mark Miller as well, who's brilliant as well. And obviously at the time, because of Clive's health and other commitments, we just couldn't get him in that short amount of time that we had. So when we went to the States, we were invited to Clive's exhibition. He had the opening night for an exhibition at Century Guild in LA. So we were invited there on the VIP list, and then we went to Clive's house twice. I had a guided tour and interviewed Johnny. Like Johnny features in the documentary on the feature about Clive. So giving a little bit about obviously the man behind the myth and whatnot. And they've been brilliant. Seraphim Films and Mark Miller and Johnny have just been so great and very supportive of us. So it's been nice. I mean, we didn't get the man himself, but I think I'm possibly may have said it to you before when we originally talked about the documentary's really been built up as building Clive as his kind of, Howard kind of Hughes kind of character and, the legend that is Clive Barker. When we actually got him for that very short period of time, those 3 days, I was in a complete panic because I was thinking, how do I then put the man back into this documentary who we've been talking about and everyone's been saying so positive things about him? How do I then fit him in without making it look egotistical to a degree? Because we are literally building him up to this kind of pedestal. And I was even thinking about complete rewrites of the narrative to get Clive in there to make it obviously flow better. And of course I would have loved Clive. I'm not just saying that because we haven't got him. But when we lost him, in regards to the documentary, I mean, I was obviously upset and I would have liked to have had him in there, but it didn't change the narrative at all, really. And we've always said, and we've advertised this, and we spoke to Clive's people, and we spoke to Clive via Johnny, that this is for Clive. This documentary is a gift to him. It's a tribute to his work, and we hope that he enjoys it when he sees it.
Mm-hmm. And now there's going to be 2 different editions of this documentary, right?
No. That's my mistake. When I put the first post out,
I meant the 2 covers.
Oh, sorry, because I remember seeing something before on your website that there was going to be a 2 disc and a 3 disc. It's going to be an actual 3 disc, the whole lot, for the same price.
Cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a 3 disc. There's going to be no 2 discs, so everyone can buy the 3 discs exactly the same price. The difference is that the first run of Leviathan is a 1,000 copy limited run. I mean, the Kickstarter people get their copies, no problem, exactly the same copy. But it's 1,000 copies, which is a limited run. And what you get with that is you get the extra sleeve, which is the O-card card sleeve, and that is Julia's mattress with Julia on the back. And you also get inside the DVD, you get the 4-sided booklet, which has got it's designed as kind of a doctor's notebook, so it's Schnard's notebook, and inside that is a narrative and blog. Blurb, from Phil and Sarah Stokes. Now, Phil and Sarah Stokes, I'm sure a lot of people who like Hellraiser and Clive know, they run Clive Barker Revelations, and they are Clive's, they manage his archive, and they've done a nice little blurb for us about Clive and about Hellraiser. The first run of 1,000 people buy at the exact same price would be the 3 discs, plus the O-card cover and the little booklet inside as well.
Their essays are always very very complete, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yes, it's a nice little essay. I'm really happy with it.
Rob, you had a question?
Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I just wanted to ask, did you come up with the idea for the artwork? Because that was pretty brilliant, man. I love that artwork of Julia coming up out of the... was that your idea?
Yeah, it was. It was really weird because we were originally going to release Leviathan. Why it's been delayed somewhat as well is because we've been negotiating with, obviously, distributors, and we've been talking to distributors, and there's a UK distributor who is very well known, and they are releasing Hellraiser very soon in the UK, re-releasing it, and we were negotiating with them how we could have their release to coincide with Leviathan, have Leviathan as part of their box set. And they were asking me for ideas as well. We had a drink with them, and we were having a chat, and how can we make their release more special? And they didn't want to do a Lament configuration box that's been done before with the 8-disc edition and the 3-disc edition from Anchor Bay. And I said, why don't you just do a mattress? It's very key. It links parts 1 and 2 together. Obviously, Julie comes from it in part 2, and they were kind of, we're not too sure, blah blah. So when obviously we went our separate ways and we decided obviously to release this independently, I just thought it'd be nice to have. I love the character of Julie, and I love that scene with Brown and the mattress. So I just thought, you know what, let's just do a design where we have the hard sleeve as the mattress, and on the back is Julie coming out of it. And I showed it to Jeff, and Jeff loved it. Jeff Portus. So I'm quite proud of that, and it's going to look nice on the old DVD shelf, I think, in the collection.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I really love it.
Yeah, thank you.
One question: Is Oliver Smith going to narrate the documentary?
Yeah, Oliver's narrating the documentary. We recorded that. When was that? That was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. Went down to Ollie's house. For the people in the UK, they'll know Ollie's voice because on Sky Television here, which is our kind of one of our networks, he does all narration for them, and a lot of the TV adverts in the UK, you'll hear Ollie's voice, and I didn't know that. I mean, I've listened to his narration on these TV shows for so many years, and not realised it was him until when we interviewed him for Leviathan. What you're up to now? And he said, I do narration for Sky Television and for the Horror Channel in the UK. And was like, what? Is that you? Because you definitely two together. And he said, if you need a narration for this documentary, I'm up for it. And we took him up on his word, and he was brilliant. His voice is so great, and he does a really good job actually. And I'm just really happy with the quality that he provided on that day. And it was so great to sit next to him and just listen to him reading obviously what we had written and reading it out, and it just adds an extra little bit to the documentary having him talking over it on those kind of narrative, the segment openings. So I'm really
Did
he
do the Frank voice?
No, because see, in Hellraiser, obviously it's not Ollie's voice at all, is it?
Okay.
It was. It's a shame because if you go on YouTube and if you look for the Italian trailer for Hellraiser, you actually get to hear Oliver Smith's actual voice as Frank, and it's brilliant. It really is that
Sean
kind of
Chapman as well. You can hear his voice in an international trailer.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. But obviously, when it was dubbed, chap's name completely. I've lost his name at the moment. So
somebody was saying that they thought it was the same actor who is one of the cops in Nightbreed.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, Ryan.
Yeah. No, it's. We talk about him in the actual documentary, and I can't.
Okay.
It's probably late.
A bit of trivia that people will have to buy the documentary to find out.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we do a little segment actually on the documentary about America versus UK and about why Hellraiser is a British film and it's set in the UK. Yet we have the American dubbing, and we know that Larry's American. That's obvious, and we know that Claire, Julia is British, and we kind of assume that she's from the UK. He's come back. His parents lived here, and obviously got a house, whatnot.
The old homestead.
Yeah,
exactly. And she's obviously back on our old stomping ground. Julia is, and Julia's British. So we and being a Brit myself, it's Britain, it's the UK, the style of the house and everything. But obviously they dubbed it, and they dubbed Frank's voice, and they dubbed Frank the Monster and whatnot. So we have that kind of discussion really about what the actors and cast think about, and it's really nice because a lot of people think it adds to the mythology of Hellraiser. We don't know. Some transatlantic kind of country, you don't know what it is, and it adds that kind of mystery around Hellraiser. So it's a nice sort of segment as well about and whilst we talk about Ollie being redubbed as well during that.
Well, that'll be really interesting to find out.
I want to throw a controversy in here and ask a question which people ask this sometimes, and everyone has their own answer to it. But it's like at the end of Hellraiser, when Kirsty escapes the engineer, and she gets out of the house, and we see all the windows get really bright, and we see overlapping like a picture of Frank burning. And then they cut to that scene where there's like a burning chair and a few bonfires near a river. A lot of people seem to think that indicated that the house was burning up at the end of Hellraiser. Of course, we know from Hellbound that the house doesn't burn up. But I always wondered why people think that. And was that actually meant to convey that the house would burn up at the end of Hellraiser? Because I always thought it was weird, because it obviously is not the same location. It's like an open...
Yeah. I think you're right. I think editing-wise, because it's so quick at the end, obviously that house lighting up and the next thing you're next to a fire. But I think it was always the intention that it's a derelict area. I think maybe even the script even says that it's a derelict part of... so I think it's people's perception, isn't it? But I've always thought it wasn't the house. I always thought it was...
Right.
She
like
goes
a dumping ground or something.
Yeah, it's not like at the end of Carrie or something where,
No.
So Kirsty just wandered into that place and threw the box into the first fire that she found.
Yeah. She went for a walk. with a rather dull boyfriend and went for a wander. And then coincidentally, the derelict's there. Yeah, I mean, you look at Hellraiser 2 and we're talking about the American bit, then you've got a very British
with guns.
house. Policemen with guns, exactly, and wearing kind of New York kind of police uniforms, and yet Dr. Chenard is a Brit, and his institution's British. So it's one of those things in Hellraiser. It's kind of mystery of Hellraiser. And I'm sure when we do the remake, they'll probably change it all anyway. So we'll have to look forward to it again.
It's kind of like dubbing Mad Max because the Australian accents were unpalatable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, they did it with recently, didn't they? With the Dark Knight Rises, with what's his face, Tom Hardy, didn't they? They on the trailer he had one accent, didn't he? Which obviously developed.
Yeah,
and then a lot of people couldn't hear him.
They had shown IMAX, about a 5-minute clip.
Yeah,
the plane scene, and people were complaining. They said, we can't understand him.
Yeah.
So when they finally released it, they made adjustments to the voice.
Yeah, because otherwise a lot of scenes were just like...
Yeah, that's what it was. It really was bad.
I think probably it's more difficult for us Brits when we see British actors, and the lad who plays I think his name's Hyans, his surname is, who plays Kirsty's boyfriend. Now I've seen him in other TV shows, so when you see him in Hellraiser and it's not his accent, it's kind of really throws you completely. So it's kind of I suppose if you don't know the actors, you can get away with it to a degree, can't you, dubbing people? But when a Brit,
was he dubbed?
He's dubbed as well.
But she even teases him on the movie about being British and about how British people are all so polite.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Yeah. His voice is dubbed, and the dubbed voices in it. I think there's a lady in the shop who's American, isn't she? In the pet shop.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
There's obviously Frank. There's
I want to see the manager.
Yeah. And then there's obviously Sean Chapman as well. And again, I've seen Sean Chapman in a lot of British TV shows, and that voice it's completely different. Of course, it is. But it's one of those things. It was the 80s, and they were obviously trying to get the American market and the audience, and obviously New World thought it best to dub.
I guess we'll never know if that helped or not.
I think the original voices should be kept because now that they've got Lalsberg's voice for Nightbreed, that really changed the performance of that, and it made it better in my view.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, exactly. but it would be kind of strange to try to explain why two brothers, one has a British accent and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and again, the confusion will come as well. Is that that is Larry and Frank's mom's house? Was she British? Was she American, living in England? You know, it's just the book is set in England, and obviously, of course, when you're a first-time director and you've got £900,000 given just to make a film, and you need to set to American market, you're going to make them changes, aren't you? I mean, we would, and obviously Clive did, and I don't think it messes the film up too much. I think it's just a funny little kind of story, and a little debate that you can have with people about where is Hellraiser set. I don't think it's set anywhere. I mean, I'd like to think it's set in Britain, obviously being a Brit. There's obviously things which are contrary to that with regards to guns and policemen. So,
Well, and I think the first movie is definitely set in England, and I think it gets muddied up a little bit with the second movie. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, that's why I think, the second one obviously leads at the beginning with the guns, but then you get Channard, who you can't get any more British than Dr. Channard. I mean, he's stuck-up, pompous Brit, typical kind of British consultant doctor. Yeah. You can't get any more than him. So, again, it's about the actor, isn't it? It's filmed in the UK. Ken Cranham at the time was a very popular British TV actor at the time, stage actor.
It's funny how the sympathetic characters are American, and like Kyle, that doctor, she sort of is dupes into helping her. Yeah.
Well, we always play good villains, don't we, the Brits? What it is.
I don't know where I saw this. Maybe it was in the Anchor Bay Lament Configuration set, which is a beautiful, beautiful set. I recommend it. That has Hellraiser 1, 2, and 3. But I remember seeing some kind of interview where someone was saying Ken Cram at one point, he said that he only did Hellbound because he had a mortgage to pay or something like that.
Ken in R1 says the only reason we did Hellbound was because at the time he was doing, he was offered a production of either King Lear in Stratford or he was offered Hellraiser, and he wanted a set of new curtains, which were quite expensive. And if he did the play, he wouldn't be able to afford the curtains. And if he did Hellraiser, he could. So he chose to do. He chose, and apparently he still got those curtains today, apparently. But I think the good thing about Ken, I think at the time it was just another job for him. But knowing Ken now, and obviously meeting him quite a few times, he's very much embraced Hellraiser now. He the last probably 5 years, he's a big fan of Hellraiser and 1 and 2, and I think he realises that he's got a big fan base now, and he loves that. And he goes to conventions, he does the shows, and somebody who's still working in the industry like he does, and he's still doing big films. He just loves the fact that people want to talk to him about Hellraiser. And he loves Channard. I mean, that comes across very much so in the documentary. So, I mean, I hope them curtains are worth it.
I remember an interview with, like a little blurb in Fangoria one time with Ashley Lawrence, where she had said she made Hellraiser 6 because she needed a new refrigerator.
Well, I remember Gary Tunnicliffe saying that the budget for Hellraiser 6 was the price of a refrigerator. So. I swear to God, he said it.
Yeah, I've heard that as well. Yeah, I mean, it must have been an expensive fridge.
Yeah.
What's his name says that to us as well. That's the reason why Doug didn't do Hellraiser 9, because they basically, 1, offered him the price of a fridge, and 2, wanted him to film all his scenes in the UK on green screen and then ship it over to the States and edit it. So, would Hellraiser 9 have been different with Doug in it? We don't know, do we? Would people have appreciated Hellraiser 9 more because Doug was in it? I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. I think he gets a lot of stick because Doug's not in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's only a small part of the problem.
Yeah. It's not part of the problem.
Yeah.
So there's going to be 1,000 copies with that special packaging, right? And then, what about the rest? Are they going to be available through what outlets? Just the website, or do you have it?
Yeah, at the moment, because it literally, we decided to do self-distribution. The reason we decided to do that was because when we were talking to companies, they very much wanted to obviously package it in their way, in the sense of cutting it down. They wanted to take some of the features out, have it as a 2-hour documentary for both films in one. We've had people wanting it to be, just for documentaries only, no bonus features. So it was really, what do we do? Do we go over a distributor and make it easier for ourselves, which it would have been easier, and then lose control of our baby to a degree, and obviously what we've set out to do, or do we basically self-distribute and invest that money and time and effort ourselves? And for me, I didn't want, after 18 months of doing this, I didn't want to let it go, and I think it would have been a shame for us just to take the easy route and let somebody else give us a check and take it off us. So we decided to self-distribution, and obviously that meant that we're limited to how much we can do at once. So the plan is obviously to get the first run out, see how they go. For all I know, it might not even sell. So see how that goes, and if it does well, obviously we will re-release it as without the card and without the booklet.
Can you also, is there, I don't know how it works for independent films, but I mean, is video on demand available like Netflix and iTunes and those types of?
Yeah, that would be the next stage. I mean, we can venture out into no issue there, and the same as with Amazon and things like that. There's opportunities there, and I think what we're going to do is see how the first 1,000 do, and if they do well and they sell out, I think the next stage will be obviously Netflix approaching them, video on demand, and obviously looking at potentially Blu-rays as well. What I don't want to do is literally, I don't know how it's going to do. That's the problem. I don't know how successful it's going to be. We've put a lot of obviously hard work and effort into this over the last 18 months. And you know what? If it doesn't sell one copy, I'm not bothered because, for me, it's kind of our pet project, it's our little baby, really. So I'll be proud of whatever happens to it. But, I've worked on other projects before where they haven't, you think they're going to do really well and they don't. And that's because of various reasons, really. So I think let's see how the first 1,000 do.
Okay.
If they are successful and they fly off the shelf, obviously I will the demand to do more. But then I'll look at the other options that we can do. Then I'll look at the long-term options at Netflix and at video on demand, and also
Amazon.
Amazon outlets like that as well. So you never know. But at the moment, it's directly from our Facebook and from our official website. So we've got quite a big following on Leviathan page. So people who are interested in the documentary, and I'm sure, and people like yourselves who do things like this, this is fantastic for us because it gets it out there and it gets the message across to people, and they know where to go then, obviously, in whatnot. And as soon as I can get a copy to you guys, I'll get you a copy over straight away.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, thank you. So was the decision to put it on DVD first, was that because it would reach more people?
A couple of reasons why. First reason,
versus Blu-ray.
Yeah. I mean, I'll be as honest as possible as I can be. Is that the first reason is literally the production costs, and that is the truth. Is that a production cost for a Blu-ray as an independent release is a lot more expensive than the DVD. I mean, a lot more expensive. Yeah. So, as again for self-distributors and our own investment, it would have been extremely expensive, not knowing how it's going to do as well. I mean, you can have 10,000 people following your page, but 10,000 people might not necessarily want to buy the DVD. Mm-hmm. So that was a concern, and the other reasons were making it more available because it's easier to do the Region 0 then, so regional, so it can play anywhere. A lot of people, I mean, when you put a DVD which is filmed in HD, which it has been, into a Blu-ray player, you get that little bit extra definition anyway. And for a documentary, I mean, I love film. I'm a massive film fan. I've got a massive film collection. But from a personal point of view, I want to see a film in HD, in Blu-ray. A documentary, I want to see looking the best it possibly can. But personally, I wouldn't be that fussed unless I was an avid collector of Blu-rays of what a documentary would look like. So there's various reasons, but the initial reason is that, and to ensure that people can get this at a reasonable price, we try to keep the price down as much as possible, and that's including having the O card cover and the free discs and the booklet to as low as we possibly can get it. We would have had to charge more as well for it, and I don't want to do that to people. I want this to come out. I want people to enjoy it for what it is, and and if there's a market for Blu-ray in the future, I'll look at the investment opportunities then as well.
So people can pre-order this in April?
Yeah, it comes out April 13th, and the pre-orders from the 6th of April.
Okay.
And obviously, because again it's self-distribution, obviously they have to come to us first. And obviously then we have to then get them out to people. So we are hoping with our deadlines and our target times that we will start shipping from about the 6th of April.
Okay.
So people will get them internationally as well for maybe before the 13th, to be honest. It might even be before then. But at the moment, I had a bit of a to-do yesterday with the company who is doing our Glass Masters, who promised me a lead time of 2 weeks, and now they're saying 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So we're not using them anymore, but we've found another company who's very reliable. So it's things like that, just beyond our control, and it's the kind of the pain of self-distributing. Unfortunately, we've had the pain for 18 months of doing this, and the pleasure, of course, but the stress of doing it, and now we've got the stress of getting it out.
Yeah. And when we review it, we're going to have like 9 hours of stuff to watch.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah. We'll probably get you to come back again, maybe with the director, if possible. That would be great.
Yeah. Kevin's brilliant. I said, all of our team, we've got a very small team, which is unusual, and who go above and beyond. I mean, none of these people have been paid. These people have worked 18 months tirelessly. As I said to you before, I was literally on email 10 minutes before talking to you to Chris about the Hellraiser 3 section.
Chris Griffiths?
Chris Griffiths, yeah. And he was querying some stuff with me about titles and whatnot. So they work tirelessly, these guys do. There's Kevin, who's our director. There is Nick, who is our director of photography. Adam, our line producer. And Chris. And obviously we've got Anthony and Archer, who do the editing and whatnot under the direction of Kevin. These people, as I said, I can't speak more highly of them. They're dedicated, they're committed, and some of them who weren't necessarily Hellraiser fans at the start are definitely Hellraiser fans now. So
that's cool.
And I just love all the work you guys have been doing, all the graphic work that you guys have been doing, like the T-shirts, the posters, all the line art that you guys have been putting out. Who's the author? Who's the artist?
Some of the work is done. Most of the artwork is done by a chap called Doug Syak and Jessica Gowd. They're Americans. They're from Los Angeles, and they did the T-shirt design. And they've done some artwork for the documentary itself. The poster is designed by Graham Humphreys, who many people would know Graham for his work on Nightmare on Elm Street posters, Evil Dead, Return of the Living Dead. This guy is a legend in film posters.
He's
wonderful. Actually doing some work. He's doing some work today for us as well. He's doing the disc menu artwork for us at the moment, which is
cool.
He's doing one on Channard, so disc 1 is Pinhead, disc 2 is Channard, and disc 3 is Clive, the artwork on the back of those. He's actually painting them tonight as we speak. So they should be ready over the weekend to go to the disc makers to make the menus. And obviously I've done some artwork myself. I designed the Julia mattress, the artwork for that. So, we've got, again, Doug and Jessica and Graham have just given their time. Jessica and Doug not being paid a penny. They just want to get their name out, their artwork out there. And I love Doug's style, Doug Sykes' style. It's absolutely excellent.
Oh yeah, all that graphic work has been amazing. And we'll make sure we can keep sharing all your updates. And the pre-order starts on the Monday after Easter Sunday. So
it is,
very auspicious date.
Let's
get all those Hellraiser fans to spend the money they get from their godmothers on Leviathan.
Yeah. Well, we planned that well, didn't we?
Yeah.
Again, as I said, if I can get the pre-orders out earlier, I'll do that as well. It's just, I'm very precious in the sense that I've been there before, waiting for things to come out as a fan, and you get a message come through saying, "Oh, there's been a delay, there's been that," and obviously we've had to do that ourselves with this documentary. The initial release was supposed to be November 2014. That was always the plan. But actually, it was Claire Higgins that kind of put a stop to that, because we got news that we could get Claire. It wasn't until November, so we couldn't obviously say no to Claire Higgins. So obviously we delayed it somewhat then, and then it's supposed to be January, and obviously we've been in these distribution deals and conversations, which obviously we decided ourselves to go independently. So that kind of put a delay on that as well. So I'm praying to all the gods and all the Cenobites that my current timeline and schedule, which I've got to a fine detail now, is going to work. So I'll probably be getting more grey hairs over the next couple of weeks, probably.
Well, I would hope that most of the fans would understand that the more time you take with it, the better the end product. So
yeah, to be honest, I've got to admit that the fans have been absolutely excellent. They're out of the 200 odd Kickstarter people and the couple of 5,000 people on the Facebook and the people that follow the website as well. I've only actually had one person who has been I would say a pain in the bum, who has been emailing me. Which I answer every email I get, and we get a lot of emails from the Leviathan page, but I always answer them personally because I was there, I was on the other end of it. I'm a fan of these kind of things. But we had one guy who, he literally was telling us how to do things, what to do, what we were doing wrong. And you've got to be polite to these people. Yeah. You've got to be professional. But I did lose it with him last week where he told me about I was a disgrace for not releasing it on Blu-ray. How dare I not release it on Blu-ray, and that I was selfish, and that do you not understand how Blu-ray works and the amount of information you can get on there? Blah blah blah. And I just said to him, I said, listen, I respect your views. I know you're a fan, but please go and get a camera. Go interview some people.
Make your own thing, yeah.
And then come back and tell me how easy it is, because it's not an easy process. It's a fun process, and I've got to admit, it has been an absolute laugh. It's been an absolute pleasure, and the people we have met and the people we've interacted with, and it's, even with you guys as well. And obviously, talking to you right at the beginning, a year ago, nearly to the day, and being here now. Meeting people like yourselves and fans and other people in the industry, it's been a dream come true. It really has. It's been such a journey. I wish we would have made a documentary on the making of Leviathan. And there were 9 hours. Yeah.
Well, and I think that Clive Barker fans should have learned to be patient. You know what I mean? There's so many. We get so many announcements years in advance of things that. Either never come out or come out. Like, look at the Scarlet Gospels. It's been more than 20 years.
It has, yeah. I mean, obviously, the Nightbreed as well, hasn't it, as well? The
that was back in 95. I was hearing about that.
Yeah.
I was posting a picture of the advanced reading copy of Scarlet Gospels that I got in the mail, and I got a private message from someone saying, I won't believe it until I see it in my hands. It's like he didn't believe that the book was really coming out. I was
Even though people are posting reviews.
I have the book. I have the book. I have it right here. I read it. It's like, okay, well, you never know. You never know. And I was like, what do you mean you never know?
Actually, I do know.
Honestly, it was in my other folder on Facebook, and I was completely flabbergasted by how convinced that person was that this might not come out when they say it's going to come out. So I was like, I have the book. But anyway, there's always fans who...
There's always people. We've had people email us about. I mean, I'd say 99.9% of the people have been absolutely fantastic, and they have. And without them, we wouldn't be where we were. I mean, look at the Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. We've had people email us about people like Ashley. Why haven't you got Ashley Lawrence? Because she didn't want to do it. Why didn't you get her? Because she didn't want to do it. Right. We asked her. We spoke to her, but she said no.
Yeah,
that's absolutely disgraceful. You should have tried harder. Okay.
Well, and we're the Clive Barker podcast, so we get people that are angry with us because it's not Clive Barker talking.
Wow.
It's like, I'm sorry. It's about Clive Barker. It's not.
You're never going to please everyone. You never. We did the book on Return of the Living Dead, and the only negativity that we got, which was strange, was why didn't you discuss the Trioxan theme? And we discussed that as when we were doing the book, and it just didn't fit. It didn't fit in because of the limited number of pages you have to do a book for a start. Nobody knew anything about the Trioxan theme regards to the cast and crew. Nobody really cared. I mean, I know it's a fantastic theme for that film, but anybody who's involved in that either forgot about it or wasn't interested in it. So it would have been one line in the book, which would, again, does not flow in a narrative. And I'm sure people will watch Leviathan and go, why didn't you mention so-and-so? Why didn't you do this? And I think we've covered everything. If there's anything I haven't covered now, I mean, I'll shoot myself because, not literally, but...
9 hours worth of stuff about Hellraiser.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm hoping there's stuff there. I mean, the stuff is supposed to be true. We could have had a 90-hour documentary if we wanted. Quite easily had a 90-hour documentary, but you just can't get that because that would have been quite a lot of discs. So... there's going to be people. But, as I said, I hand on heart, I've done this, and so has everybody else, as a labour of love, like you do this show. And for us, it's a gift to Clive, and obviously the fans who want to purchase it, by all means, purchase it and enjoy it for what it is. If it didn't sell one copy, you know what? I got a copy of it on my shelf, and I'll be happy with that. And my family will be happy if I give them their copies and whatnot.
Well, how many are going out on Kickstarter?
166 DVDs on Kickstarter, because obviously a lot of people invested on the Kickstarter for posters and stuff like that as well, and T-shirts. So there's 166 Kickstarter, which isn't too bad.
So you have 840 something that are going to have to be pre-orders.
No, I've actually physically produced and paid for 1,300 to be made.
Oh,
so
okay.
There's 1,000 on sale, which are the Julia card, all of my Julia cards. Everybody who got them a Kickstarter of 100 will get the Julia card without question of doubt. There's 1,000 then out for everybody else, and the remaining ones will be given to the cast and crew. So everybody who was interviewed for Leviathan will get a copy as well.
That's right.
These people did it for nothing. So as a thank you, so what we're doing is, as I said, we're in April. We're having a kind of launch party, a little get-together with the cast and crew who can make it UK-based in London, and they'll come and we'll have a drink and some music, and we'll play the documentary on multiple screens, so there are different segments of it.
Wow.
And then we'll give them a copy as well when they arrive, and if not, they're not there, we'll send them a copy through the post. So we've done that delivery. We've had the Kickstarter ones made, as well as the cast and crew, and obviously review copies. People obviously like yourselves who want to review it, so there's copies available for them as well.
That party, I guess, is going to be the night of the paper hat.
Sorry?
the night of the paper hat.
You know, the night of the
paper hat. It's going to.
We're celebrating something.
Thing.
Yeah.
I just had to throw that in there.
Yeah. Claire Higgins will tell everybody that she's going to bed.
Yeah.
And people can talk about how they got that scar on their hand.
Yeah.
I think it's actually been the cast and crew, to be honest, who have been the people who have been pushing us to do a launch, going, we want a premiere, we want to get together. Okay.
Yeah. It'll be like a big reunion for them.
Yeah, they've been actually pressurising us a little bit to do it, and I want to do. I mean, I want to do it as a thank you to people anyway. And as I said, without people giving their projects like this and projects like Never Sleep Again and Friday the 13th, Crystal Lake Memories, all those kind of projects would not happen without people who are involved in that franchises, who give their time freely, because you could not afford to pay people to do these things. You just couldn't, because, your budget would be through the roof and you wouldn't get the quality of, what you could afford. So, people giving their time freely has been amazing. And I keep saying that, I know, and I answer questions for a long time, but without these people, I can't thank these people enough. That's it.
Yeah, and I love those documentaries you mentioned, Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories. And I don't even like the franchises that much, so I'm going to love this documentary about Hellraiser.
Yeah.
Because I love to know stuff about behind the scenes and see all these interviews. Sometimes I buy DVDs or Blu-rays more for the special features than to actually watch the movie, because I've seen the movies like so many times. But
I bought on the weekend, which I know people don't like it. I bought the Chainsaw Massacre, the new one, and I only purchased it for the bonus features, because the film obviously has got its issues.
Yeah.
I wanted to watch the extras and the makeup kind of stuff on there, so I would purchase just for that reason. Yeah, but for us, it's really weird because we've heard these stories now for 18 months, and genuinely, you feel like you were on the set, because you've heard the story so many times to different people, and you've got that image embedded into your brain now, and it's burnt into your head. You kind of forget that you weren't there. That I was probably was like 4 years old when it was made, 5 years old. So but you kind of feel that you were there, and that's a nice feeling because people are so passionate. I mean, everybody we've interviewed have been so passionate about Hellraiser. And for some of these people, it's been 30 years and their career has moved on different ways. And some people we've had 2 Oscar winners. John Midgley, he got an Oscar. He was the sound engineer, mixer on Hellraiser. He got an Oscar for The King's Speech. And you've got obviously Mark Coulier, who just recently Grand Budapest Hotel, but obviously also got one for The Iron Lady. And these people, Hellraiser is nothing to them now. That's a long time ago. Yet they still come down to us, travel from London, or we travel to them, and they sit in a hotel conference room or a theatre, whatever we were in, and for 2 hours being interviewed for nothing. And it's because they, for Hellraiser, for them, started their careers. Without Hellraiser, they don't think they would be where they are today. So that's what is so special about Hellraiser as well, that it started people's careers off, and people have a genuine love for it. They may not like the film so much as regards to what the end result was. Some people don't, but they love the fact that they were part of it, which comes across on the screen, both on the movie and in Leviathan as well. Sure.
I mean, we've seen bonus features on Nightbreed that overlaps a lot of the team that worked for some of the Hellraiser films, I guess. They were having a great time behind the scenes. They were dancing and working in the workshop, in the workshop, making funny signs and stuff like that. So it's always a very social experience as well.
We even contemplated at one stage, but obviously I know with the Nightbreed coming out on DVD and Blu-ray, we even contemplated doing a Nightbreed documentary because of the fact that virtually 99% of the crew from Nightbreed worked on Hellraiser, and we interviewed them already. So it was, we contemplated it, but I know obviously that Seraphin have got their plans regards to documentaries in other areas, and as I said, I think I want to, just for the time being, move away slightly from Hellraiser and the Barker world, because being involved so much in 18 months, same as with Return of the Living Dead, I'm a huge fan of that film, huge fan. But I've only watched it probably 3 or 4 times since we made a documentary and did the book, because you get so involved in it, you need to have a break from it.
All right.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. We'll be sure to send people your way when April 6th comes along.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Can I ask one last question, Gary?
Yeah. So I do apologise. I answer questions for a long time.
I just wanted to. I just was curious. The score for the documentary, will there be like a music score by the composer? Because I'm into scores, and I'm just curious if that.
Soundtrack.
Soundtrack.
Lito Valesco, who did the score for More Brains, Return of the Living Dead documentary, he's done our score for Leviathan. When we interviewed Chris Young, he arranged that interview for us in LA, and we met up with Lito then, and they got chatting, and Lito told Chris that he was going to be doing the score for Leviathan. Chris said, "Listen, I'll support you. I'll listen to your tracks. Don't feel you have to do a carbon copy of my work. Do something that obviously is respectful and homage to me, but obviously I'll help you out with it." So Lito's done a fantastic. The music is brilliant, and the score that he's done and the opening score. I mean, literally, he scored it as you would a movie. There's 16 tracks, I think there is.
Wow.
And
nice.
The track names range from The Doctor's Mattress to Chunard to the Leviathan, the Labyrinth, what other ones, Hell Risen, Bound to Hell. He's done a fantastic job on this music, and and what we'll do. I mean, I know we've given permission for Lito to release music after himself if he wants to, obviously on his websites and whatnot. But we'll probably release it on Leviathan as kind of downloadable tracks for free, because it's really nice music, and it really has that theme of Hellraiser, but it's something new as well, something different. And I'm really happy with that. I think he's done an absolutely brilliant job on the soundtrack.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And he also worked in Never Sleep Again, the Elm Street.
He's worked on quite a few, and Crystal Lake Memories as well.
Oh, cool.
He's worked quite closely with Tommy Hudson on a few projects, so we were lucky to get him, and then we approached him, and we didn't realise at the time, obviously. I kind of knew him from More Brains, but actually he's a massive Chris Young fan, so this was a dream project for him. And I said he has done. I mean, what day was it? It was, sorry, I lose track of my day sometimes. It was Sunday I spoke to him because he emailed me and said, I noticed you've got a featurette on Hellraiser 3. I said, yeah, and he went, you never asked me to score that. I went, no, I was just going to use some of the other music that you've done, just put it on. He went, I really love to do a score just for that feature. I said, no problem. And then by Monday afternoon, it came through, and it was brilliant. And I think he literally did it in a day, and it's a fantastic piece of music as well. So and each of the featurettes has its own music to it. The Toy Maker featurette with Simon Says has the puzzle box music he's created, and Chenard's got his own. So that's nice as well for the fans, that it's something a little bit different, a little bit more quirky. And as I said, I can't speak to him more highly of Leto. He's a fantastic person.
Wow. All right. So, this documentary, Leviathan, the Story of Hellraiser, and Hellraiser. Let me just rewind that. Is it Hellbound Hellraiser 2, right? Yeah, it's Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
I'm about to say that and type that for 18 months.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
All right. So this was Gary Smart, co-writer and producer of Leviathan, the Story of Hellraiser, and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. Thank you very much for talking to us. Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Leviathan will be on pre-order on April 6th.
So that was Gary Smart, and of course Jose was there with us for that one.
Yes. Really looking forward to that Leviathan disc.
Oh yeah. And pre-orders for that are coming up really soon. Actually, was it April
6th? April 6th. Then it's officially released the 13th.
Yeah. So pre-orders are just a week before they get shipped. So. Mark your calendars and get ready to pre-order if you didn't already contribute to the Kickstarter. Now, before we sign off, is there anything that you've been working on or that you'd want to mention?
Yeah, if you get a chance, just go to the Cloud Barker site and check out I did a review for the Age of Desire graphic novel. If any of you don't have that, I highly recommend it. It's a great piece of the story. It's a very good story, but I thought P. Craig Russell and Tim Bradstreet did a great job of adapting it into that format. So go check out the review if you wanted to.
And that's a really interesting one because it was meant to go in with the epic 90s comics that were adaptations of Books of Blood stories, and for some reason that one never got published, or it was too late. It was.
They talk about that in the back. There's two little essays, or two just not by each by Pete Craig Russell and Tim Bradstreet, and they both talk about why it's taking so long to get it out, and what happened between because Pete Craig Russell was supposed to illustrate all that. It was supposed to just be him. He was going to write it and, I guess, draw it. And there was some I think it was some about the ending that Epic didn't agree with how he was going to end the story or something.
Oh.
And that started some kind of, argument between them, which led to his departure.
Huh. Oh, so maybe it might have actually made it in then, if that didn't happen. Well, that's interesting. Yeah, and I'd like to do a review of Tortured Souls. We did an episode about Tortured Souls quite a while back, just because we had we were able to read a PDF of it, but yeah, I'd like to do a review of the actual book. I like all these little independent or small scale releases that Clive's doing lately. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, I'll look out for that because I enjoy your reviews and.
Well, thanks. Yeah,
I really enjoyed your Scarlet Gospels review.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and you did a Tuesday Tunes and
about the the detective theme, Harry Moore's theme from Lord of Illusions.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right. Well, I guess that's it for today.
All right, guys, take care.
The Clive Barker Podcast, or Barkercast, is an independent editorial fan site and podcast that is not affiliated with or under contract by Clive Barker or Seraphim Films. This podcast and site are a labor of love by the fans for the fans. News, features, and show notes for this episode can be found at www.clivebarkercast.com. Go to iTunes and please leave us a review. Reviews really help us get the word out about Clive Barker. You can also find us on Podomatic, Xbox Music Store, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Doubletwist, Blackberry, and Pocketcast. We have a Facebook page, so come on and like our Facebook page and join the Occupy Midian group for lots of discussion about Nightbreed and other Clive Barker stuff. On Twitter, we're at BarkerCast and at Occupy Midian. Opening theme by Mark Buckle.